What's up, guys? Ivory here, and today we got to pay respect to the Memphis Grizzlies for building that culture of grit and grind and that hard-nosed blue-collar mentality. I mean, the Memphis Grizzlies, they've been off to a red-hot start lately, which has pushed them into the top 3 teams in the Western Conference standings. Man, they are really playing great basketball on both ends of the court, and you can kind of tell that they actually really like playing with each other. I mean, you can see it in the way they do these funny walk-off post-victory chats with reporters. Or when one player is being interviewed and the other players, they kind of stick around, they join in, and they just enjoy the moment together. I mean, you also can see it in the last minutes of a blowout win versus the Bucks, in which the Grizzlies bench guys did the waves with the fans. That was pretty cool. I mean, you also can see it in the Grizzlies star Ja Morant. I mean, Ja Morant had his dad, T. Morant, FaceTime the fans he was chirping with before he had got injected from a game with the OKC Thunder. I mean, who does that? That was actually kind of funny. You gotta admit, that was a little funny, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a few other teams that's winning games as well. But let's be honest, nobody's having as much fun as the Memphis Grizzlies are. They enjoy playing basketball together. You can just tell. You can just watch the games and tell. Now, I'm going to give you a few reasons why this grit and grind mentality is going to make the Grizzlies a dangerous team and why they possibly can win a championship this year. Although before we start, if you enjoy these videos and you find them informative, it will really mean a lot to me if you take a quick second and smash that like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now, I know it sounds silly, but it does really help with the channel tremendously. And as a thank you for doing that, here's a cool picture of a cat playing the piano. Thank you again. All right, so in terms of the Memphis Grizzlies grit and grind culture, the Grizzlies rank in the top 10 in offense and the top 10 in defense. Only the Celtics, the Suns, and the Pelicans are all in the top of these rankings. Now, what's cool about this year's Memphis Grizzlies team is that this year, they resemble that grit and grind era. Now, I got a question for you. Do you actually remember the grit and grind era? Now, if you don't, you're too young. Now, maybe you're younger than Ja Morant, who's 23, but guess what? He knows all about it. Here's what he told NBA.com. I ain't that young. I know basketball. Just a group of guys pretty much with the same mindset we're trying to keep here. Going out, fighting. Pretty much we don't care who we face. We're going to battle, play really physical, get out and run, and we're very excited. Ja Morant is referring to those 2013 hard-nosed, no-nonsense, blue-collar, old-school Grizzly team. Led by 4 key players. You had Zach Zebo Randolph, you had Mike Conley, Tony Allen, and Marc Gasol. These guys are loved by the hometown team. They are legendary. The new school Grizzlies are reminded about them every single day. Ja Morant also said that grit and grind is something we want to take on. Obviously, we're a whole different team, way younger, but the way they impacted the city, the game of basketball, we want to do the same thing and go out and win a championship. That's the only thing that the grit and grind does not have, an NBA championship. Other than that, I mean, the original grit and grind Grizzlies, they won 11 playoff series and 7 postseasons with 2 trips to the semifinals and 1 to the Western Conference Finals in 2013. From 2010 to 2011 through 2016 to 2017, the Grizzlies won 60% of their games. And 3 times they won at least 50 games a season. Now, that's pretty impressive. That team's blue-collar style was in their DNA, and it was in their blood, man. Tony Allen was that big-mouth, irritating defensive specialist who won a championship ring with the Celtics in 2008. He actually came up with the word grit and grind following an overtime win versus the OKC Thunder.
Extra. It seemed you did a lot extra tonight. Great game tonight, Tony.
Yeah, it's just all hard. Grit, grind. My boy Zebo.
The Grizzlies had a previous playoff run in their team history with 3 straight appearances from 2004 to 2006. Led by all-star big man Pau Gasol. Now, that team went 0-12 in their playoff seasons. The grit and grind had an identity drawn from the edge with which they played. Listen to what Grizzlies center Steven Adams, who played 8 years of his team NBA seasons going against the Grizzlies. I just remember it being the most physical game. Zach and Tony Allen and stuff, it was tough team. Even the atmosphere coming into this place, it was tough. It was hostile, but a different feel, really intense. You knew you were in a real physical game. And now that Steven Adams is playing for the Grizzlies, he says the philosophy is still the same. The way everyone operates is kind of good because there's no bells or whistles or any kind of makeup. You just get down and you do the work. In 2015, the Grizzlies lost in the second round of the playoffs by the Warriors, then lost to the Spurs in 2016 and 2017. Real changes started happening in 2019. They got rid of several head coaches. They hired Taylor Jenkins to be their head coach. They drafted Ja Morant second overall, and they made some key promotions in the front office. Now, after playoff appearances against the Utah Jazz in 2021 and the Timberwolves and Warriors last playoffs, Memphis is hungry for more. With Ja Morant and Mike Conley's old role and Steven Adams filling Marc Gasol's shoes, you can kind of connect those dots from old to new school. Jaren Jackson plays with strength just like Zach Randolph did, but more defensive commitment and mobility. Dylan Brooks is a go-to stopper for most teams' top scorer. And, Desmond Bane can give you some solid minutes. And the good part about all this, none of them are bothered by these comparisons. Listen to what head coach Taylor Jenkins said. The players that led the change, our fan base, was extremely attached to them. You're going to see many jerseys up in the Raptors from guys who came before us. And that's something you have to pay homage and respect to. But we knew we had a new wave of players coming in. The league was turning in a new direction. So understanding how we still had to embrace that grit and grind because that represented our city with our new generation of players and athletes, a new style and play. But at our core, we wanted ultimate competitors, and that's been the case since I got here. Jaren Jackson was asked how today's Grizzlies squad relates to the 2013 Grizzlies. He said, "Next gen, run and gun, we built off grit and grind." I was actually part of that I played with Mark, so I'm kind of grandfathered in. Here's what Brandon Clark, the high-energy six-man, had to say. "You can definitely see our grit every night. We come to play hard. We find ways to win games, even if we've got guys down. Very fun team to watch." Say what you want about the Memphis Grizzlies. They managed to win games even when Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson, and Desmond Bane aren't playing. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. On December 5th, they didn't play with all three of these players, and they still beat the Miami Heat. This Grizzly squad is for real. They shoot three-pointers a little bit better now than last season. They dominate in the paint thanks to Steven Adams' offensive rebounds and Ja Morant's ability to attack, leap, and contort himself for floaters and layups and dunks. And the crazy part, the Grizzlies have jumped to the top of the standings without having their best lineup on the floor. Just when Jaren Jackson was about to come back from a foot injury that cost him nearly 14 games, Desmond Bane sprained his big toe. Last year was tough with injuries. Ja Morant, Steven Adams, Jaren Jackson, and Brooks, they only played a few games together. And last but not least, Ja Morant is a legit MVP contender this year. He is averaging 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists. The big question is, can the Grizzlies win a championship this year? Now, they still have a ways to go, and there's more work to be done. They are a very good team at home, but kind of shaky on the road. Time will tell with this team. Go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't already done so, and subscribe to our channel. That's all, folks, and thank you again for watching.